my 2025 Ioniq 5 needs a new battery pack. That's right, my car that has only 8,500 miles on it is now in for repair, and I likely won't have it for many weeks. If you're a longtime viewer of the Ioniq Guy channel, then you'll know I've owned a 2022 Ioniq 5, a 2024 Ioniq 6, and now a 2025 Ioniq 5, which I picked up in January of this year. And up until now, I've had very few issues. The radar unit on my 2022 Ioniq 5 failed. It also had the overheating charge port issue, which I inevitably fixed myself by taking it apart and putting it back together. So between the three cars, very few issues over a combined roughly 50,000 miles or so. And that all changed on Thanksgiving Day. So Thursday morning, me and my fiance left Boston, heading back to Connecticut for dinner at my father's house. And we stopped to charge at the Mercedes-Benz high-power charger in South Windsor, Connecticut. And I noticed something relatively quickly after plugging in and starting to charge. It ramped up to about 200 kilowatts for maybe a minute or two, and then it really started to taper off really quickly. I was using one of the stations there that's a single handle for that Alpitronic HYC 400, so it's capable of delivering full 400 kilowatts to only one vehicle, so I knew it wasn't a charger issue. So in my mind, that only meant one other thing, and that was it was the car. The Ioniq 5 is charging really horribly today. I plugged in at like 13-14%. The battery was preconditioned. It hit 70 degrees on the battery min, plugged in, ramped up to just over 200 kilowatts, and here we are at 41%. It's already down to 181. So we were planning on charging up all the way to 80% because we were going down to Philadelphia later after dinner. And this whole time I'm watching the estimated time to 80% just either stay the same or decrease very slightly, not keeping up with the time elapsed. We're now 16 minutes in here, and charging just dropped below 100 kilowatts. And to 80% now, it's saying 23 minutes. Something is seriously off with this charging session. Battery temps still haven't gone up at all. We're not reaching any thermal peak. So I am really kind of concerned here about something potentially being wrong with the car because everything else is perfect. I think we charged to about 65% or so, and then we left. And this totally screwed up the rest of my plan for getting down to Philadelphia. I was planning one more charging stop at one of the Apple Green chargers on the New Jersey Turnpike, which is just outside of Philadelphia. We would get to Philly with a probably 60% charged battery, which would be good enough to get us back to Apple Green and then back to Central Connecticut on our way back to Boston a few days later. So we went to dinner, had a great meal. I decided to go to the Tesla supercharger that opened a few months ago. I forget what town it is, but it's right at the end of the Merritt Parkway near a Wegmans. And the reason I wanted to stop at Tesla, because I wanted to see if the same issue was going to repeat itself there. So I used plug-in charge, just plugged in the car, and off she went. It wasn't that far of a distance that I needed 80% to get to that Apple Green charger on the New Jersey Turnpike. So I only charged to about 50%, just enough to get us to that Apple Green. And I saw full charging power to 50%. It held 125 kilowatts just fine. So we left the Tesla supercharger and made pretty good time getting through New York City and over the George Washington Bridge and such. We arrived at the Apple Green charger at the Richard Stockton Travel Center. And again, had a nice warm battery pack, low state of charge, plugged in, and same thing happened that happened at the Mercedes-Benz high-power charger. We're currently charging, and we've been charging for 13 minutes. Got here with like 15% state of charge, and we're at 52% right now, and it's saying 12 minutes remaining. The battery was preconditioned when we arrived. It said 20 minutes to 80%. From around 15% or so. I don't know if something is wrong with the car at this point because I've never seen it charge this poorly before. When I was at this exact station using this exact charger last week for the out-of-spec Eastern Edge race in the 2026 Ioniq 9, I used this charger and it ripped. We did a full charging session to probably 67-70%, and it was less than 20 minutes. So I really don't think it's the charger. I don't think something would have happened in the last few days, but there you go. It just dropped to 110 kilowatts now. All right, so here we are a couple minutes later, and look at that charging speed. This remaining time to charge to 80% has basically remained the exact same. we're barely getting anything now. This is going to make this trip extremely painful getting back to Boston. We're going to have to charge another 2 or 3 times to go 500 miles, because sitting here for 30 minutes now to go from 15 to 80% is just absurd. So we charged there to about 70%, and then off we went to Philadelphia for our second Thanksgiving, which was really nice. And then on Saturday, we started heading back north. So we stopped at a Tesla supercharger right off of the New Jersey Turnpike. This is a huge site at a Burger King. I think it opened in the last few weeks. It's like 40 stalls or something. Super easy to get a spot and grab some food real quick, bathroom. So we stopped there and plugged in, and despite being on a Tesla supercharger this time, the same thing happened as the other 2 charging sessions at Mercedes-Benz and Applegreen. Saw super derated charging. What do you know? It showed 30 minutes to 80% from 10%, and at 60%, it just plummeted from 127 kilowatts down to 77 kilowatts. Again, just like last time, the battery is nice and warm, 86. And 106 on the max. So again, the same thing is happening. The remaining time just stays the same. Charging rate just keeps dropping. We're down to 52 kilowatts now, not even at 70% state of charge. So yeah. We left in hopes of making it to the Mercedes-Benz high power charger in South Windsor, Connecticut again, which we did some grocery shopping at the Whole Foods there. And I went back out to the car and grabbed a snapshot of the charging curve just so you guys can see how bad it was. And you can see all these charging sessions, we never went above 208 kilowatts, which if you drive a 2025 Ioniq 5, you know, if it has a nice warm battery pack, low state of charge, you should be able to hit almost 260 kilowatts. And you can see here that it barely held it for any amount of time, maybe 4 minutes, if that. Before it dropped down into the high hundreds. And then you can see the steps where the charging speed is decreasing here happening much more closer together than you would normally see with an Ioniq 5, especially leading up to our ending state of charge here, which was only 73%, where we were pulling 27 kilowatts. And you can see that curve just kind of slopes down, and it was basically just slowing down to a standstill. So I wasn't going to spend any more time there than I needed to. So we unplugged at 73% and went on our way back to our apartment in Boston. The next day, I was going to my doctor's office, which has that new Ioniq rechargery. So I was planning on going all the way to 100% just so I could see what it was going to do between 80 and 100%. And 15 minutes after I started it, it completely failed. It just said charging has stopped. I unplugged, plugged it back in, let plug and charge do its thing. It charged for about a minute, and then it completely cut off. So at this point, I'm like, okay, great. Now the car doesn't charge at all. So I hop in the car, and what pops up on the dashboard after I turn it on? That's not good. I just got the check electrical vehicle system warning. Yeah, this ain't good. Charger stopped, check the charger. Vehicle charging stopped, check the charger for issues. Holy cow. I'm going to unplug and try to drive. All right, I just powered it on. Let's put it in drive. And okay, it looks like we're drivable. Hopefully I can make it home in case something does happen. Okay, so right after I started driving, I just got a battery management system warning here under vehicle diagnostics. Let's see what this says. There may be a problem with the battery management system. If the following occurs, please contact your nearest service center. Oh boy, something is officially wrong with the car. So at this point, the car will not DC fast charge. So I said to myself, let's bring it back to the apartment, plug it in on the level 2, and see what happens. So got to the apartment, plugged in, and it charged. And I was like, okay, great. So I was just going to let it fill up to like 80, 90%. So I went back to my apartment, and about 45 minutes later, I checked the status in my Hyundai app, and lo and behold, it stopped charging again. So next, I took my OBD2 scanner, plugged it into the car, and read the car for codes, and up popped P1AA700. Now, some of you might remember that code if you have a great memory. I discussed it around April when a technical service bulletin came out about 2025 Ioniq 5s from the early run that was first produced here in the Georgia plant, and how some of them had to have their battery packs replaced because of this trouble code. And the technical service bulletin states vehicles may experience a charging issue where a voltage difference between battery cells prevents the high voltage battery from fully charging. The two DTCs associated with the issue are P1AA700 and P1AD300. I'll drop a link in the description if you want to watch that video in entirety. So there you have it. My car suffered the TSB I already talked about earlier this year. Before I brought the car into the dealership though, I did use Car Scanner to look at all the cell voltages. Now when you look at this image, you'll see they're all sitting a little over 4 volts. Except for 2 cells. There's one that's close to like maybe 3.85, and then another one that's a little under 4 volts. So I don't know if it's those 2 in tandem that is causing the issue, or if it's just that one cell that's significantly lower than everything else. If you have an OBD2 scanner and want to take a look at these cell voltages, you can do so, and maybe you'll see something trending down, one of the cells getting a little bit lower than the others. I never look at this screen, so it's not something I was actively tracking because I didn't expect it to ever happen. Let me know down in the comment section if you find that there's any outliers that are kind of looking like they might cause some major issues. What a bummer. One of the things that you guys know I like to track when I do these 2-year stints with the cars is I like to track battery degradation just to kind of see how they hold up. And I'm almost exactly halfway through my 2-year lease on this car, so that is completely out of the window at this point. I wasn't able to get any battery degradation data on this because I didn't have the ability to do the test. And now with a new battery, it's going to only be a year and not 2 years. So what did I do after this? Well, the first thing I did was I emailed my contacts at Hyundai and let them know what was going on. They were nice enough to file a claim on my behalf, so that kind of got the ball rolling. I got a phone call the next day from Hyundai's customer service. They just wanted to let me know that the case had been opened and told me to bring the car into the local dealership. I took it to Merak Hyundai in Arlington, Massachusetts, which is like 25 minutes from my apartment. I took the car into Merak Hyundai, told them what was going on, and the very next day they called me, said, yep, we looked into it and your car needs a new battery pack. So that's where she sits as of recording of this video. I did talk to the service manager at Merak today, and he told me that he has seen batteries come in as little as 3 weeks, or it could be a couple months. But in the meantime, Hyundai is going to set me up with an Ioniq 5 XRT for however long I need until the battery pack gets replaced. So I'm trying to make lemonade out of these lemons I've been dealt. So it'll give me an opportunity to spend some time in the XRT, which totally cool with me now that it's starting to get snowy around here in New England. I think the biggest unknown right now is where is this new battery going to come from? Because my early made 2025 Ioniq 5 has a battery pack that was made in Hungary because the battery facility in the US wasn't up and running at the point when they were starting to make the cars at the Georgia Meta plant. So those were being imported, but I think it was around April or May when they switched to US made battery packs. So maybe they can just give me a US made battery pack. I really hope they don't have to ship one in from Hungary. That seems really stupid. There should really be no major difference between the battery packs. It's going to be the same voltage, all the same cells. Everything should be basically the same. Just unbolt it, unhook those electrical connections, refill the coolant lines, and reattach it to the car. But I might talk to the dealership and see if they'll let me spend some time with the car when they are reinstalling the new battery pack, just to kind of follow that process, make a video for you guys. I might as well. This by no means is an isolated incident. I have heard from many 2025 Ioniq 5 owners, even 2025 Ioniq 5N owners, who have had to wait months to get battery packs for their cars, all due to this same issue. If you just type in that trouble code and search Reddit or forums, you'll see many instances where this has happened before, and cars with significantly lower mileage than mine, even though mine's technically low mileage anyway. So yeah, I think that is pretty much everything I wanted to tell you guys at this point in time. Again, stay tuned for an update video. We'll kind of hopefully get some more information and a better timeline of when this might get repaired and I can get this car back on the road. So keep your fingers crossed for me, guys. If you liked today's video, give it a thumbs up. Check out my store at ioniqi.com for accessories for your Hyundai, Kia, or Genesis EV. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.